The Immortal Undertaker, a series that has been recommended to me multiple times by my friends. It's honestly a series that, honestly, I'm so glad that my friends recommended me, because this story is honestly a story that gave me the crave that I've been looking for. A story where it has the main character going on an adventure with the mythical character, trying to ensure that she is safe. The damsel in distress, right? That's something that I've been looking for. I've been looking for a story just like this. See, the only anime that comes to mind where it actually does this is Plunder, a series that honestly, when the anime came out, beginning episodes everyone liked it, but then after that people started to hate on it because they didn't really like how the structure of the story was. But honestly, trust me, if you read the manga, you're gonna say otherwise, because the manga is honestly amazing, and I definitely recommend you reading the manga instead of watching the anime. Yes, the anime is amazing, the anime is good, but I recommend you reading the manga. Another series that comes to mind is Tsubasa Chronicles, a series that I watched when I was not teenager. When I was a child, right? When I was little, I watched this series. But when this series got cancelled on the TV, I was like, damn it! Just such an amazing story got cancelled. Damn it! I want to see more. Years later, when I first started to get into anime, and come to find out that I can actually access anime by going on the internet, I watched it again, and I honestly still hold in high regards to this day. I still hold it as one of my favorite series of all time. And another series that also has a similar premise to this is Elemental Glade. I don't know if I'm saying the name of it correctly, but I'll put it here on the screen. But Elemental Glade is another series that was one of my first few anime that I started watching when I first became an anime fan. And mind you that at the time, I was like 10 or 11, and that was 9 years ago. so if I was 10 or 11, if you count 9 years ahead, that's pretty much my age. But like honestly, I've really liked this series, and these three series that I just talked about, they have a similar premise, and I love the adventure in these series. They definitely give a lot of adventure, and definitely something that I really like in these three series, which I'm planning to talk about them individually in like separate videos where I want to talk about each one of them in the future. But for now, I'm going to talk about the Immortal Undertaker, because that's pretty much the reason why you guys came here. The Immortal Undertaker, like I said, it definitely gave me the credit because it has adventure, and it has the main character trying to protect the mythical character. And mind you, that currently, in the manga, by the time I'm recording this video, there's only been 53 chapters out, because chapter 53 just came out, literally just before me making this video. And mind you as well, that we're only in the second arc of this series, okay? We're only technically in the second arc of this series, which is honestly mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing, and the amount of world building that we've got in these two arcs is huge. It's definitely huge, as it gives a lot of backstory, especially for like the Immortal Undertakers. The Immortal Undertakers are pretty much priests, right? And their job is to pray for the dead. Once they get buried, the priests, they pray for them. Then after praying for them, their souls will be sent to heaven. If they don't pray for them, if there isn't an Immortal Undertaker around, a priest around to pray for them, then those souls will pretty much be turned into monsters, and they will come back from the dead. They will pretty much become like zombies with monster features, right? And that's pretty much what happens in this first arc. We get to see that. We get to see the effects of not having an Immortal Undertaker being in a town to pray for the dead, right? You get to see the aftermath, right? Multiple people die, and you get to see what happens to the other characters as well in the first arc, as it pretty much shows in the first arc that no, death is uncertain in this series. Anyone can die at any moment, which is definitely something that happened in the first arc, which honestly I did not expect. Like, I like this. I like when I saw these deaths, I was like, no, I'm gonna attach to these characters. Why would you do this? But then I start to think, damn, this is actually good story writing. The fact that you're gonna kill off characters, and just like that, after giving them a ton of manga panel screen time, right? After giving them so much characterization, so much time for us to get accustomed to these characters, to kill them off right afterwards, it's honestly a huge, a huge step to take. That's definitely something that could get people really annoyed, but definitely carry on watching the story, which pretty much means that this story does not hold back in the depths, right? If the author wants to kill a character off if he needs to, he will kill that character off if he needs to. If it means that he can progress the main character's mental state, and of course progress them further to become even better characters, which is what happens at the end of the first arc. The main character, after going in a rage, after what he did, he starts to recall his past, which we come to find out his past, as he is a half immortal, right? He's a half immortal, meaning that he's not like the other immortals where they're fully fledged immortals where they can live for years. No, our main character is a half immortal, and because of that he was judged for it, and he has to live differently from other people. If he wants to carry on being an immortal, he has to break the taboo. He has to get life from other things, such as trees, animals, humans. It does not matter. He needs to get life force from other things to ensure that he can be immortal. To ensure that he can live longer, he has to take lives of other living things, right? If he loses or not, he needs to get life force of something else, right, to ensure that arm comes back. Because if he does not have immortal energy, enough immortal energy, and he goes back to pretty much being a human, he will need to get more immortal life, right? He will need to do that to ensure that that his wounds can heal, to ensure that he lives for longer. But on top of that, it also shows the hardships of being an Immortal Undertaker. As the Immortal Undertakers, they can live for long, but the job is rough. As, like I said before, the job is rough. As if you don't, pray for the dead, if you don't go around on your own journey to ensure that people do survive, that people, once they die, they are being prayed for, they will turn into monsters. And like I said, you could see that in the first arc. And you also get to see more of the character's inner thoughts. Because he was a half immortal, people looked down upon him. You got to see other humans, right, who he stayed with, he lived among them, right? Once people start to find out that he was an immortal, half immortal, they become scared of him. They decided to push him away, and you got to see his inner thoughts, how he felt like an outcast. And that's something I really, really like about the series, as it gives us a lot of characterization for the main characters, something that honestly doesn't really happen that quickly. It does not happen only in the first arc. It happens like down the road, right? And seeing this happen in the first arc was honestly amazing, right? Seeing his character growth, seeing him going on a rage after what happened to the other characters, seeing him doubt his abilities to be an Immortal Undertaker because of his failures, because he failed to save them, he blamed himself. That's something I really like, because that doesn't happen very often, right? That doesn't really happen. Like, normally, characters dies, the main character feels sad, but then he goes on with his life. No, he legit blamed himself, and that's something I really, really like about this story. And speaking of the characters, let's talk about the main female character. Again, there's a lot of mystery behind the main female character. We only come to find out a little bit more about her in the second arc. But even that small bit of information was huge, as not only gave insight to her, but also gave insight to other characters, the main antagonists, right? As you get to see how they actually do the line of work, right? How the people who are after the main female character are amongst the Immortal Undertakers, the Immortal Priests. They're among them, right? They're pretty much among them, right? meaning that like you don't know who to trust among the Immortal Undertakers association, the priests. You don't know who to trust, which gives more world building. It gives more reasons for characters to be on their own because they cannot trust just any random person that they meet, right? And you come to find out that as well at first hand when the main character meets other characters, especially one character very important in the first arc. They get to see what he goes through, everything that's happening, and yes, she is safe currently, but the main character is not. The main character is somewhere else, and man, like in this arc, we're also going to find out more about the Immortals, more about how to kill Immortals in this arc. We're going to find out how to ensure that Immortals die. Right, we come to find out how that happens, right? How to put a cost on them so that they suffer for eternity, for a long amount of time, right? And you got to see how people take advantage of Immortal Undertakers, how they put an end to Immortal Undertakers, what they do to ensure that the Immortal Undertakers disappear, right? The ones that supposedly violate the law, right? And that's something I really like. Like, honestly, like, this story has so much world building. I cannot stress this enough. This story has a lot of world building, which is something I really, really like. Seeing the world building for the Immortal Undertakers, their job, how they live, right? How do the Immortals live compared to half Immortals? Seeing how humans struggle to live, right, with having their family members in poverty, in a place where they don't have enough food. What happens to humans when they die, right? World building is amazing in this art. You get to see all that. You get to see all the world building in other towns. How one town lives compared to another town. You get to see. Again, how do Immortals live? How do humans live? Right? How do you put an end to the Immortal Undertaker? How do you put an end to them? How do you ensure that they live for long but still suffering? So much world building. Like, my God, this series has so much world building, which is something that I really, honestly, I love this. I love this series because of the amount of world building that happens with the characters, that happens around the characters, that happens in this world. Honestly, I'm so immersed in this story that I want to keep on reading. I wish that I could just talk about this series for hours upon hours, or I would just go through every single chapter and talk about it. But I cannot do that. I cannot do that because I would be spoiling you guys on top of spoiling you guys. I don't want to happen like it did before, where I talk about chapters in the manga and then my entire channel got taken down. Which, if you guys don't know, this is my second time me making the channel. This is my second channel because my original channel got taken down because of copyright strikes, because of, I reviewed manga chapters and I got copyright strikes for them. So yeah, like, I don't want to make that same mistake, but honestly, I wish I could just talk about this manga, because this manga is one of my favorites. Honestly, I really, really like this manga so much, and the fact that this series is not afraid to kill off characters definitely makes me hesitant. I'm very hesitant to grow attached to characters, but it's impossible for me to not grow attached to these characters because they're just so written in such an amazing way. Honestly, like, I don't want these characters to die, but the fact that they die because of the world building, because of, the awful being like, alright, you think we're not going to kill this character, we're going to kill this character because we need this character to die so that the plot moves along, the plot progresses, the main characters progress as characters. That is something I really, really like about this series, and honestly, I'm excited to see how the story is going to go, right? Like I said, we're only in the second arc. We're only in the second arc of this series, and it's only been 53 chapters, right? Like, by this point, normally we have like 3 to 4 arcs already been done, right? If it was any other series, we would already have like 3 to 4 arcs in this alone, right? 3 to 4 arcs in just 53 chapters, right? And seeing like 53 chapters and it's only 2 arcs, it pretty much means that this series can go for a long journey, and I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see where the story is going to go, and who knows, maybe in the future, once we get more chapters, once we get more world building, I might talk about this series again. I might talk about the Immortal Undertaker once again, because this series is amazing. I want to talk about it in the future again, and who knows, if you guys like, okay, screw it, let's put a goal. If we can reach, let's say, I doubt that's gonna happen, I'm a small channel. Let's say if we get to at least 100 likes on this video, I will do another video on the Immortal Undertaker, where I actually go through everything that happens in these two works, right? My thoughts on the important bits that happen in this arc. I pretty much go through, both arcs. I'll pretty much just go through both arcs and telling you guys my thoughts on both arcs, like fully, without having me to hold myself back, because I don't want to spoil people who have not, seen the story. I don't want to spoil people who are new to the story. I can spoil it a bit by telling a bit of the plot and some and a bit of the world building in this story. But yeah, I hope that this does not affect you guys from watching this series. Please watch this series. Read this series, because this series is an amazing series. Definitely one that is worth the read. Honestly, this series is really worth the read. I'm not joking, like, I'm being honest here. It's worth the read. I definitely recommend you guys reading this series, because it's an amazing series. Overall thoughts, I love this series. I love it. I love this series so goddamn much. I love it a lot. And I hope that this series carries on thriving. And honestly, if we get an anime of this, I'm 100% gonna watch it. And who knows, maybe I'll try to buy the DVDs of this series. I scratch that. I'm trying to get the volumes. I'm trying to get the volumes of this series. If someone knows where I can get the volumes for this series, please tell me, because I would really love to know where I can get the volumes for this series. Because this series is an amazing series and one that's worth the read. And I really want to have the physical volumes in my shelves to remember that this is an amazing series, and definitely a series that I can just pick up whenever I want to read a series with a good adventure and a great world building. So yeah, overall I like this story. If you guys have not read this series, what are you doing? Go read it. For those who have read this series and who are currently, caught up to the latest chapter, or just started reading the series very recently, are up to, like, let's say the midpoint of the first arc, or just finished the first arc, or finish the first arc and are beginning to read the second arc of this series, what are your thoughts on this series? What are your thoughts on the Immortal Undertaker? Do you like this series? Do you not like it as much? Do you think that I'm over exaggerating this series and hyping it up more than I should? Please tell me in the comments below, because I really love to know. And like I said, if we get, I highly doubt this, but if we get to 100 likes on this video, I will do a part 2 to this manga, where I go through both arcs and I give you guys my overall thoughts on the important bits and the bits that honestly got me really hyped on this series. I'll pretty much go through both arcs, spoiler free, like I actually give spoilers for both arcs when I did the part 2. But yeah, hope you guys did enjoy this video. Go read the Immortal Undertaker if you guys have not done so, and I'll see you all next time.